Embassy Suites by Hilton Charleston, an all-suite hotel and conference center minutes from Yeager Airport and Capital Market. Reservations and brasserie dining information available at hilton.com.
Solar Hauler, supporting Appalachian communities and building on West Virginia's history of powering the nation by bringing solar energy and battery backup to homeowners, nonprofits, and businesses throughout the region. More at solarhauler.com.
House will again come to order. Ladies and gentlemen, members and guests in the galleries will please rise. Chair recognizes the Sergeant at Arms.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, His Excellency, the Governor of the great state of West Virginia, the Honorable Patrick Morrisey.
Hello, this is Eric Douglas from West Virginia Public Broadcasting. I'm the news director here. We are just joining into Governor Patrick Morrisey's first State of the State address. Governor Morrisey is the 37th 37th governor of the state of West Virginia. He's shaking hands with lawmakers and dignitaries who are there to hear him speak. Governor Morrisey has actually talked about from day one when he started about a month ago, has been talking about his concerns about the state budget. He believes that the budget is about $400 million in the red as compared to projections from Governor Jim Justice when he left office. He has some concerns about that, and I'm sure that's going to be one of the major issues he's going to be addressing this evening. He's also recently signed an executive order banning diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the state. West Virginia University most significantly shut down their office. He's also talked about what he calls the backyard brawl. This is an effort to get to make West Virginia more competitive with all of the surrounding states, and whether it's using tax incentives or economic development programs. He often uses the phrase backyard brawl, which of course is a reference to the W Pitt rivalry. There's the governor. It looks like he's about to take his podium, so we're going to step aside for a moment. Oh, no, he's still visiting with other dignitaries. He's also actually come out recently, Governor Morrisey's come out recently supporting deportation issues for immigrants in West Virginia, or migrants in West Virginia who are in prisons already. There's a federal program to push that. And he's signing, or actually they've put forward an application to participate in that program. So it'll be interesting to see what the governor has to say. This is actually the 87th legislature for the state of West Virginia. He's making his rounds to the leadership, Speaker Hanshaw and Senate President Randy Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, for his first State of the State address, please welcome the Honorable Governor of the State of West Virginia, Patrick Morrisey.
Governor Morrisey, as he prepares to speak, has been the Attorney General for the last 12 years and has been
Thank you very much, Speaker Hanshaw. Thank you, Senate President Smith. Isn't it a great day to be a West Virginian? Great day. I want to start off with a few recognitions. First, a hearty welcome to the Board of Public Works. We'll start with Attorney General J.B. McCuskey. Auditor Mark Hunt. Secretary of State Chris Warner. Treasurer Larry Pack. Agriculture Commissioner Kent Leonhardt. State Superintendent Michelle Black. To the West Virginia Supreme Court, thank you. We have Chief Justice William Wooten. We have Justice Elizabeth Walker. Yep. Okay. We have Justice Tim Armstead. Justice Haley Bunn. And Justice Charles Trump, newly elected. Thank you. We have Intermediate Court of Appeals, Judge Greer, Judge Lawrenson, Judge White. To my cabinet officials, these guys are all-stars. I am looking forward to you getting to know them. My cabinet officials. To the distinguished members of the House and Senate, we're very fortunate to be joined here by the Japanese delegation. That's Ambassador Shigeo Yamada, Ambassador Mikio Mori, and they're joined by Honorary Consul Larry Rector. Let's give them a hand. Oh, there you are. I just had a chance to talk to the Japanese ambassador. Looking forward to sitting down with you tomorrow and learning about all the new ways West Virginia can work with the amazing country of Japan. Thank you. All right. We have to my governor's office staff. By the way, I promise you this speech is not going to take an hour and a half. To everyone in state government who makes this place tick, they're worth it. To my daughter Julia and her husband George. And to my wonderful First Lady Denise. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I want to start with the story. Every year, for the previous 12 years, I served as your Attorney General. I used to make it a priority to speak at American Legion Boys State. This is a tradition I hope to continue as your governor. This is a tremendous event, and when you go to the event, you see you have some of the brightest, the top high school students in the state. They run a government class, they learn about civics, the legislature, and they do all these cool sorts of things. It's a lot of fun. When you go there, you can't help but have a smile on your face when you meet these young men. These guys are going to go places. Now, over the years, my speeches to them have changed, but I've always asked two questions. The first question is, how many people here want to go to college? And I will tell you, when I ask that question, nearly every hand goes up. Then I follow up and ask, how many people think that there'll be a good job available for you right here in West Virginia when you graduate. Every year, about 20% of the hands go up. Now, I want us to pause and think about that for just a minute. This is heartbreaking. If 4 out of 5 of these kids feel they need to leave the state to find a job, that's not acceptable. That's what motivates me, and it should motivate you. We're only going to know that we're really successful as a state when every single one of those kids raises their hands. Tonight, I want to share with you my vision for how to make those hands go up and help kids and grandkids make West Virginia home forever. I got here later in life. I am so happy I'm here. I'm going to do everything I can to repay that debt. And let me start by sharing some information about my upbringing. I don't know everyone here in the room, a lot of them. But let me emphasize, this is not unlike most West Virginians. My father, he was a World War II vet. He used to talk about his $1 million wound when he was taken off the line in the Battle of the Bulge. He worked for a steel company. My mom was a VA nurse. Used to treat a lot of patients coming home from Vietnam in the 70s. They talked a lot about that. With 4 kids to raise, they worked really hard and saved for everything we had. Not much, but they worked for us. My parents, they taught me the value of hard work, determination, and grit. These are all attributes that embody the mountaineer spirit. I started working when I was about 7 years old. I delivered newspapers with my siblings. I worked many odd jobs growing up. I tried to balance high school with academics, sports, and work. And you wouldn't believe it, but I was once a skinny cross-country runner and a pretty good tennis player. Now, nothing's changed, right? I paid my way through college, becoming the first in my family to graduate, and then I went on to get a law degree. I had financial struggles along the way, and I nearly went bankrupt as a young adult, but I soldiered on. Now, that doesn't make me special. It doesn't. That's just the story of most West Virginians, the kind of work they put in every single day. You see, our people, they're the proud product of resilience and hard work. For generations, our state's played a huge role in America's success. For over 2 centuries, we powered the needs of our country, relying on good old-fashioned West Virginia resources and a hungry workforce. Our coal miners, they travel deep inside the earth to extract this rock, which powers our state and makes our steel. Our oil and gas workers, tell you what, they break their backs as they work to heat our homes, run our factories, and allow our people to flourish. We won world wars in part thanks to the efforts of so many West Virginians. We are and will always be America's energy state. Now, our fossil fuels, I think we all know this, they've had some challenges in recent years, but we persevered through the war on coal and dealt a major blow to Biden's radical Green New Deal. When I served as your Attorney General, I built the coalition that stopped the radical liberals in D.C., which threatened our West Virginia way of life. We had a big case. We went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court in West Virginia v. EPA, and we won. We saved thousands of West Virginia jobs, and we dealt a big blow to the deep state in the process. Thank you. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that our deep energy reserves, they are going to help our workers soar yet again. Right now, there's a ferocious competition going on between the United States and China. The winner will be the country which powers the enormous data needs of tomorrow. Years ago, the China virus devastated our economy and screeched it to a halt. Now, we have a new threat. China already generates half of the world's coal-fired power. You know about that, Rupee. That gives us a huge advantage in the arms race for computing power and intelligence. America is going to have to either find a way to dramatically increase its power production, or China will eclipse our nation in a technological battle that will determine our national security. West Virginia will play a critical role in this competition. Now, with President Donald J. Trump back in the White House, I know, well, hang on. I promise you, those weren't just for applause lines. I know our state and our nation are on our way to a resurgence and a golden era unlike anything we've seen before. We will once again be the engine that powers our country. That means using even more coal and gas, utilizing our rich water resources, and developing nuclear-powered small modular reactors. It also means expanding the use of microgrids and investing in our educational institutions to train the high-skilled and well-paid workers. These are the people that are going to be the key to success in the next decade. Tonight, I'm announcing a new strategic investment in this area. We will be establishing the West Virginia Power Tech Center. And here's what it stands for. Powering our workforce through energy and revolutionary technology center. Let me tell you what this means. This is a center that will represent a first-of-its-kind collaboration between some of our key educational institutions. WVU, Marshall, Shepherd, Blue Ridge Technical. To help West Virginia become the most innovative, aggressive supplier of energy to the growing technology industry. As part of this effort, we're going to slash the red tape. Let me tell you, we are going to slash the red tape and the bureaucracy that have kept our energy in the ground for far too long. Thank you. In this process, we're going to partner with the world's foremost experts, job creators, and innovators to examine the intersection between energy and technology. We're going to adopt regulatory and tax policies that make West Virginia the most dynamic and friendly state in the nation for data, superintelligence, and cryptocurrency facilities. Now, this new center, it's not only going to help drive state and national thinking on data and energy needs, it's going to create new opportunities for the type of advanced manufacturing jobs that provide long-term economic security for our state. The center will teach our students in these new fields and also play a crucial role in our state's vo-tech renaissance. Now, beyond the need for these data engineers, the robotics expertise, and technical literacy folks, we're going to need to become the preeminent factory, training new electricians, plumbers, sheet metal workers, and contractors. We're going to ensure that good-paying jobs are available for all West Virginians. let me emphasize, West Virginia has power, and by God, we're going to use it. We're going to use every last ounce to fuel our Mountain State comeback. Now, it's no secret that West Virginia has its fair share of challenges. I'm always going to level straight with West Virginians. Today, we must be honest with West Virginians about the pathway in front of us. I believe we're going to succeed wildly, and I know every one of you share that belief. But our road to competing and winning, it's going to take some time, especially in light of some of the problems we've inherited over the years. There's some hard truths here. We rank 49th in educational attainment, 50th in public health, and last in workforce participation. No one should be satisfied with that. No one. We've inherited some big problems. And then there's our budget. Now, the most basic rule of budgeting, when you're a family sitting at the kitchen table, or you're the state of West Virginia, is that you can't spend more money than you make. That's particularly important now. The budget that I inherited would have put us approximately $400 million into the red for fiscal year 2026. And you'll see all the material, all public for everyone to see. Over $500 million into the red for 2027, and over $550 to $600 million in the red annually after that. These are not debatable numbers. They're not. You'll get to see them. All West Virginians will be able to review that. We inherited a deep structural deficit. It was papered over with one-time money that's now running out. Now, some have suggested we have over $2.1 billion in reserves that could be spent. But that's very misleading, and let me explain why. The truth is, of that $2.1 billion, $1.3 billion is the rainy day fund. Now, many of you are very familiar with the rainy day fund. Hasn't really been tapped into for a while, thankfully. But look, it's reserved for the most severe of emergencies. There might be a major flood, or natural disaster, a severe economic downturn. Only in the most desperate of times do you touch that nest egg. If you dip into that emergency fund prematurely, you begin to jeopardize the state bond ratings, which would cause our interest rates to go up. Well, what does that mean? Well, right now, we only have about $800 million of the one-time monies left to deal with the structural problem. So without action now, we'd have to dip into the emergency fund, that rainy day fund, in less than 2 years. That's why there's real urgency now. Tonight, I'm submitting the Mountain State Comeback Budget, a balanced budget which represents a down payment on a multi-year plan to solve our state's financial challenges. Under my administration, our hallmark will be fiscal responsibility. Our budget, thank you. Our budget, we're not going to propose new ongoing programs without new ongoing revenue. We plan on over 2% of general revenue budget reductions and many other changes to bring our budget to balance and to protect taxpayers as we go after waste, abuse, and overspending in the system. Over the next year, we're going to have some even bigger challenges and some really tough choices remaining. One of my first acts as governor, many of you know, was to sign an executive order directing all state agencies to review that spending and save taxpayer dollars. Let me update you on that. In the last 30 days, I've already proposed consolidating 3 departments, and we'll be soon working to eliminate many, many unnecessary boards and commissions. We are merging the Department of Homeland Security with the Adjutant General's Office. Tourism would merge with arts and culture, and we're reuniting commerce and economic development. And here's some good news. We've hired a chief financial officer who's going to help manage the audits and performance reviews, find savings, and look for improvements across all parts of government. Thank you. Let me be clear. We are going to uncover all of the waste and abuse that hides in the dark corners of state government, and we will root it out. If you like what President Trump is doing in D.C., you're going to love what we're doing right here in West Virginia. Now, another major driver of West Virginia's budgetary challenges, no surprise to anyone here, is the Public Employees Insurance Agency. This is a problem that, quite frankly, has been kicked down the road. Now we have to deal with it. My budget grows PEIA by about $45 million this year so that the state can meet its legal obligations. Yet, that new state commitment doesn't even address the 14.4% employee premium increase expected this year. This is another problem we're going to have to address. Tonight, I asked the legislature to work with me, develop short and long-term solutions to PIA, but also to find ways to help retirees on fixed incomes without pushing our problems into the future. They deserve that. Now, no surprises here. I pledged to be an agent of change, and I understand that some don't like that. Often, I hear, that's not the way it's done around here. You wouldn't believe how many times last month I've heard that. Well, you're damn right. What we've done in the past isn't moving the needle fast enough. I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm not calling anyone out. It just means we must move the needle faster. And I look out at this room, and now we have a unique opportunity to come together as a team to make better decisions for our citizens. We're all on Team West Virginia now. Now, despite our challenges, we do have substantial assets at our disposal as we start our Mountain State comeback. First, we are America's energy state, and with President Trump's help, we're going to maximize our resources to help the U.S. compete in the world economy. No one can match our incredible mix of coal, gas, and water resources. Second, we're strategically located, and we have hard-scrabble workers ready to take on new challenges. The marriage of energy and data centers, that could lead to generational wealth for our citizens if we seize this opportunity. Third, we're nimble, and we can move fast to grow quickly. With your help, we're going to enact legislation to improve education, cut red tape, implement comprehensive tax reform, and be more competitive than all the states that we touch. And fourth, I'll work with you. And I'm going to put in the long hours to help our state succeed. I actually live nearby, but I also come to your districts. During my campaign for governor, I visited every one of our 55 counties at least twice. I'm humbled to have earned a mandate of 62% in the past election, winning every single county. I know, thank you. I know that the vast majority of voters, they support our agenda. Now tonight, I'm asking everyone, let's come together and let's put the people's interest over the special's interest. Can we do that? And when we do that, we will be making real progress on being that shining state in the mountains. Now, West Virginians, we can typically agree on a few things we love: coal, pepperoni rolls, and beating Pitt. As you know, I've taken this rivalry to a new level, declaring an economic backyard brawl with our neighboring states. Let's start with the obvious stuff. Tonight, I'm renewing my call to ensure we have the lowest income tax of all the states that we touch. Thank you. I want to work with every member of the House and the Senate to someday make that a reality. Now, some may question why I want to lower taxes when we've just been talking about the inherited shortfall. But the answer to fiscal constraints is not to raise taxes. It's to cut spending and grow our economy. We're going to make West Virginia the most attractive state to live, to work, to play, and to do business. That means being competitive in site selection, where businesses can find easily accessible plots of land to build plants, factories, and technology centers. West Virginia must continue to be prepared to welcome big economic projects into the state and move at warp speed to bring on more high-paying jobs. Thanks. Of course, improving workforce participation, that's the challenge of our time, and it's one I plan to confront head-on. I've directed our workforce team to put together a dynamic jobs portal to identify and help recruit candidates for the job needs we have right now in West Virginia. If we just did even a little bit more in the people that right now are not participating in our economy, we can increase that base, make a big difference in our budget and the standard of living for our citizens. Every agency and department in my administration, we're going to work, we're going to participate in that effort, and we must grow workforce participation. In today's economy, maintaining reliable and fast connections to the internet, that's not a luxury, that's a necessity. West Virginians don't want broadband that moves at the speed of slow. In the upcoming months, we'll work with the Trump administration on how West Virginia should best take advantage of the federal broadband dollars and drive economic growth. Now, part of successfully competing with our neighbors means reducing or eliminating needless bureaucracy that presents a barrier to entry here in West Virginia. During this legislative session, I've identified several areas in need of immediate reform. First, we must increase efficiency in the permitting processes so that our transportation, manufacturing, and energy construction projects, they're not bogged down in a sea of red tape. We're drafting legislation that will create a one-stop shop system for permitting approvals. So when you want to expand a business or build a manufacturing facility, you come to one office to coordinate and expedite all the various permits you need to start your project. To bring transparency to the process, we're going to set up an online dashboard so you can monitor where your project is in the process and where the holdups may be. And if you experience delays, and it's our fault, we'll refund you the fees. If you need expedited, thank you. Yeah. If you need expedited permitting, we're going to make that an option for you. This will be efficiency our state has never seen before. Second, we need universal licensing reciprocity. I want to ensure that folks, many of you want to do the same. Contractors, electricians, nurses, physicians, anyone who has an occupational license in another state, we want them to move to West Virginia and to get them to work right away. When other states, thank you. When other states passed universal licensing reciprocity, it helped increase their workforce population by thousands. Third, and I know there's some split here in the House and Senate on it, but it's important. West Virginia needs a much more competitive healthcare environment. That means we must repeal certificate of need mandates and allow innovation and entrepreneurship to take root. We must also reform how we look at healthcare in West Virginia. Right now, our public health statistics rank lower than any other state in America. One of the roadblocks to improving our healthcare system is the certificate of need process. Let me tell you what that is, and for those watching and for home. A certificate of need, it's essentially a permission slip. It's given out by the government that you need to open up a new hospital or a healthcare facility. It hands over power to unelected bureaucrats and major healthcare providers who decide which communities need new or expanded healthcare services. This is big government activism at its worst. Tonight, we move toward the free market. And that's why I'm calling for a repeal of certificate of need laws in the state of West Virginia. Now, repealing these laws is going to help access, especially in the rural parts of the state where you need more personalized health care. I think it's going to fast-track new private practices, urgent care, and other facilities. It's going to be a real shot in the arm for outpatient items and services. There are too many instances of our citizens not being able to get adequate health care within state lines. I know Senator Patricia Rucker's son, Patricia's here tonight, Ambrose, and his wife Mary Grace. They had to travel all the way to Virginia, I'm told about an hour and a half from their home, to give birth to their child and go through all the necessary appointments before and after. With West Virginia roots, they were really disappointed that their child could not be born on West Virginia soil. I want to thank the Ruckers for letting me share their story. And I know due to transportation issues, they couldn't make it tonight, the last minute. I want to say to them, are they here? Oh, you made it. I was told you weren't going to make it. Where are you? Can you stand up? Come on. Make sure you kiss the baby on the way out. That's great. I say this to you, Ambrose, we're going to fight for all West Virginians to get the health care they need right here in the Mountain State. Now, once the government gets out of the way, I know it's going to take some time, our health care system will begin to flourish. Repealing CON will be a big step forward to improve care for some of our most vulnerable citizens and provide services that barely exist in some parts of our state. Now, as a general matter, we have to eliminate all red tape quickly. Losing out on new businesses and opportunities because of burdensome processes and overregulation, that's unacceptable. I spent years fighting federal overreach, overregulation at the federal level. Now we're turning our attention here. Because energy resources are one of our greatest assets, we're also looking at some very specific ways to boost production and the use of energy. For example, changes that will make accessing oil and gas resources less cumbersome and costly for investors while maintaining environmental protections. In order for us to grow long term, education must be a top priority. I think all of us know that our classrooms, they must be centerpieces of excellence. Recent results from the nation's report card, well, they indicate that West Virginia students are still struggling. In 2024, our students ranked 49th in grade 8 math, 48th in grade A reading, 46th in grade 4 math, and 48th in grade 4 reading. While we did see improvement in a few areas, a lot of work remains. It's one of the reasons why, a number of years ago, the legislature introduced the Hope Scholarship, which I successfully defended as your Attorney General. We wanted to, I think everyone who supports Hope, we wanted to ensure that every student in West Virginia had an educational option that best fit their needs. We must continue our focus in all the schools on the basics, like reading, writing, math. But we also must embrace 21st century skills in STEM, coding, and digital literacy. We're already seeing some great results from the Hope Scholarship. Nick and Natalie Chapman, who join us here tonight with their son Noah, utilized the program after their son was diagnosed with dyslexia. They knew that for Noah to thrive, he would need to receive some specialized instruction. So what did he do? He enrolled at Covenant Christian in Huntington in November, and when he did that, Noah's reading scores skyrocketed. It's been a life changer for Noah and the Chapmans and plenty of others around West Virginia. The Chapmans are a shining example of what we can provide when we open up opportunities and we give parents a choice. Thank you, Noah, for everything you do. Thank you to the Chapmans. Let's give them a hand. Now, during my inaugural address, I spoke about the importance of paying teachers more competitively with the other states that we touch. I think we can all agree that good teachers are at the heart of any educational attainment strategy. This year, I will be asking the legislature to work with me to open up the antiquated school aid formula so we can address all of our financial needs at once. Those of our families, our taxpayers, and our teachers. This is another area where we should collaborate with the Trump administration. Right now, West Virginia needs more flexibility from the federal government to administer its school aid monies and help our kids excel in math, science, reading, and other subjects. I know the Trump administration wants to work with West Virginia to help us rise. Thank you. Now, teachers have told me time and time again that in order to be their best, they need to maintain control of their classrooms and eliminate distractions. We need to work on this. That's why tonight I'm calling on the legislature to allow schools to ban cell phones in the classroom. That seemed pretty bipartisan, I think. Now, other states, when they've done this, they've seen great success. I talked with some of my fellow governors at one of the recent governors' meetings. I know that we need to give West Virginia schools every tool to increase those learning outcomes. I think this is going to help. We're going to expand VOTEC and the way we prepare students to enter the job marketplace. We'll have expanded apprenticeships, internships, and partnerships, including with some of those wonderful Japanese companies that are coming. So we hope. We know that we want to show our young people and our workforce that our future is bright. Now, I want every West Virginian to do meaningful work and make an honest living, no matter what educational route they take. And you don't need a 4-year degree to succeed. Now, West Virginia, one of its great strengths is our conservative values. We stand for God, for life, for the Second Amendment, for religious liberty, our Constitution, and our freedoms. And we will always thank you. And we will always fight for those values. Within 30 short days, we've already made progress tackling some of those issues. From day one, I said we're going to root out DEI and eradicate the woke virus from infecting our schools. Thank you. Upon taking office, I issued an executive order to eliminate DEI in state government and any entity receiving state resources. And here's why. I want people to know here's why. Here in West Virginia, we're going to follow the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. Every person is equal in the eyes of God, and starting now, they'll be equal under the law as well. We are not ever going to provide unlawful special privileges to special classes of people. Now, already, several of our largest universities, they've taken steps to shut down their DEI programs. That's a win for West Virginia, and we are not done yet. We are always going to stand on the side of truth, always. Last week, I joined President Trump in the White House, signing an executive order where he banned men from competing in women's sports. That's good. And I had a chance to meet with my friend Riley Gaines, who has led the charge nationally. She's great. To save women's sports and protect women's spaces. This legislative session, I'm going to ask the legislature to pass the Riley Gaines Act. These are basics, but we're going to try to define sex-based terms such as woman, man, girl, mother, and allow for facilities such as locker rooms, bathrooms, and rape crisis centers to be based on biological sex. West Virginia will lead with common sense. Now, this isn't just an ideological fight. You know what this is about? This is a fight about young girls like Emmy Salerno. She was forced to compete against a male in track and field. Emmy and her teammates from Lincoln High School in Harrison County, they bravely took a stand and refused to participate. We are grateful that Emmy and her parents are with us tonight. Thank you, Emmy, for your bravery. Let me tell you, I've been able to spend a little bit of time with Emmy, and she is a wonderful and courageous young girl. Emmy, you've got a great future in front of you. Now, as Attorney General, I was proud to support Emmy and her friends. And we took that case all the way up to the Supreme Court, where it still remains. Hey, JB, I think we're going to win that case, aren't we? Amen. We better win that case. But look, but it shouldn't take a lawsuit to fix this. Let's restore common sense and fairness so Emmy, her teammates, and girls across the state, they have the right to their own competition, their own locker rooms, and private spaces. Now, as your governor, my duty is to protect and defend the citizens of West Virginia. I've already been partnering with the Trump administration to crack down on illegal immigration and stop the flow of deadly fentanyl into our communities. The impact of this can be seen all over the Mountain State. West Virginia has the highest drug overdose death rate in the country. Opioids have ravaged our residents, damaging families and ruining lives. But we have fought back, and over the last few years, we've made great strides combating this drug mess. Unfortunately, an open southern border and lax immigration enforcement really helped propel another deadly drug to rear its head, fentanyl, which causes over 80% of overdose deaths. Thanks to 4 years of negligence at our southern border, every state is a border now. Now, Jennifer Crane is here with us tonight, and she's had a unique look inside the drug epidemic that's ravaging our state. Where's Jennifer? So hang on one second. Jennifer's an amazing woman. Jennifer was once an addict. She recovered, and now she serves as a support and recovery specialist for others facing addiction. We are grateful for Jennifer's work and for those like her. And we'll be inspired by her courage as we partner with the federal government, with the local counties and cities, the West Virginia First Foundation, to prevent another generation of West Virginians from falling prey to senseless death. Thank you, Jennifer, for your bravery. She deserves it. She's worked so hard, Jennifer. Congratulations. I'd like to close on a hopeful note. On Super Bowl Sunday, many millions of people saw an inspiring ad, and we all sang the lyrics to Country Roads. How many people here did that? I did, right? Let me tell you, this was a proud moment to be a West Virginian. As the music filled rooms across the country, I couldn't help but think of how many West Virginians I meet every day who call the state home. You see, to many around the country and the world, Country Roads is all that comes to mind when they think about our wild and wonderful state in the mountains. And that's a real shame. There's so much more to West Virginia than our beloved John Denver song. It's my hope that in a few years' time, when Country Roads plays, maybe at a WVU game, thousands of students will be singing out, not only with pride in a Mountaineer victory, They'll sing with pride, knowing that their job, their family, and their future will be right here in West Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mountain State comeback is here, and it starts right now. God bless you. May God bless the United States of America, and may God bless the great state of West Virginia. Thank you very much.
You've just been listening to Governor Patrick Morrisey's first State of the State Address. This is Eric Douglas at West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Some of the things you heard the governor talk about were his interest in building up the state of West Virginia, modifying or fighting against the low workforce participation rate, for example, working with health, education attainment, and workforce participation, because as the governor said, we rank last in most of those categories. The governor also discussed the budget. In his anticipation, the legislature has members of the legislature have come back and questioned some of these numbers, but the governor predicted $400 million shortfall in the 2026 fiscal year. And then he actually upped that to $500 million in the 2027 fiscal year, and he projected $550 million budget shortfalls for every year after that if we don't make some significant changes. At the very beginning of the speech, the governor introduced a couple representatives from the Japanese government in suggesting that there may be new economic development opportunities with the nation of Japan. The governor will be releasing his budget this evening that he referred to as the Mountain State Comeback Budget. He did suggest that there will be a 2% general revenue budget reduction, which would cross the entire state and all the state offices. He also, but at the same time, the governor also did suggest that we would be interested in, or he would be interested in continuing to lower the personal tax rate. Now, of course, all that has to go before the House and Senate Finance Committees. They will prepare their own budgets, and all three bodies, the governor and both chambers of the legislature, will come together and find a compromise. Ultimately, the power of the purse strings is in the hand of the legislature, however. For West Virginia Public Broadcasting, this is Eric Douglas in Charleston.